is ELPS 450 Leadership and Transition. Tuesday.
No, I mean about the,
Oh.
about
Regarding what?
Let me read all.
what we're doing.
Paragraph one.
And begin. Because yes, that's what I consider fun. So here's where we are.
Very start here.
To keep going down.
Down. There's a
That way. This way. That way.
So up the
Stop,
page.
stop. Right here.
Right here.
Right here. Where it says capstone project.
Capstone Senior Project.
That's the capstone senior project.
Report.
Mhm.
All right. How do you want me to read that?
Yes, please.
Students will select a personally meaningful real-world problem.
Stop.
What? Yeah.
It's like midway
Capstone
through.
project.
Page 3.
Thank you.
Subsection D.
It's in your syllabus. The problem is y'all don't read syllabi sometimes.
Oh, don't group us all under one.
Wow.
Those millennials.
Yeah.
No, I meant y'all. I've worked with y'all. You got, every single one of you know me pretty well by now.
You should like put in something in the syllabus to like get us to do something, and then you get like, cause my
To know if you were actually reading.
yeah, no, my 3D with my like econ class, they did that, and he like freaked out because apparently people like we had a midterm, and the extra credit was what did I put in the syllabus to send me, and like apparently like half the class didn't get it, I got it, but half the class didn't. And he was like freaking out.
I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah, he was very offended. I was like, alright.
I'm not offended if that's the difference. I actually just know you as students. So here's the reality. Capstone Senior Project for y'all, because none of y'all are the LKS students. Y'all are students without LKS responsibilities, okay? Your project report is worth 20 points, but the scholarship-based statement of the problem, the significance of that problem, and the justification of the report with cites is 30 points, okay?
Is that that's
Yes, it is. Yeah, it has it there. It's right above the part that you are on, okay?
Wait, how many points is it?
So it's 20 points for your project vavoom, your strategic plan, and your reflection on what you did this semester. And you get an additional 30 points for the paper portion, okay? An important thing for you to understand. You're going to do a research paper on the project you're working on, is what you're doing. However, you're only going to write your statement of the problem as a written statement of the problem. It will have cites to say, let's say it's about world hunger. You've gone to WHO and you've pulled 4 cites on what world hunger, the dimensions of world hunger look like, and you've arranged those in your statement of the problem. Hunger is a major issue across the entire world because of our changing resources of water. Boom, here's the cite. In other countries in the US, starvation rates equal blank, citation. In the US, hunger is a problem even though we have enough money that it should be. And X number of people go to bed hungry every night. Bam. And that impacts children's ability to learn, site, and people's productivity on the work site. Therefore, I'm proposing a project to address that problem. So that's the purpose of my project. Okay, so you've got these 4 sites that you've got data that says what you're doing is worth doing. All right, so here's why it's valuable. That's important no matter where you're doing it, because when you go into your boss and say, I want to do this, now you know how to go into the literature and grab it and use it to make an argument for why you think something's valuable. Not just I have a great idea and I know it's an issue. You could have done that before you went to college. You're all really smart. You could have done it without having learned all this. This is teaching you how to use the rest of your curriculum to make you even stronger. Okay? So, if you're going to be working in the NCAA and you've got something you want to make an argument for, having done this, you now know how to say, here's what the problem is and what we know from the literature about that problem. If you're going to be proposing your article for a journal, they're not going to accept it if they don't understand why it's valuable to understand what you're talking about. So that's what a statement of the problem does. It makes the urgency. Then the next piece that we said was in that front end for you is significance. Significance is then to say, and here's what, if I address this, will be the impact. So why it's valuable. So it's not just here's what's wrong, and I'm going to try to think about it. Now, if I crack this nut, if I figure out an idea that addresses it, here's what the benefit is. So some of that may have a site, some of it may not. But you're able to think about, I'm not just doing it because it's fun. This is very important. It may be interesting to you, but it needs to have a benefit to others. That's the point of leadership. And that was the whole conversation we were having about personal and social responsibility. Now, that doesn't mean that you're doing a service learning project. This can be a service learning project, it can be an internship, it can be a lot of the different projects here. It can be a research paper, but it has to have a significance. So I do this and it benefits somebody else. A research paper benefits the literature, so the next person who wants to explore this problem has the information. It has, you and your research project are going to plow through all this information, so the next person doesn't have to get all of it. They get to read what you did and find what out of what you did they can quickly access. That benefits society, and especially academia, so that we can understand the world's problems and see changes. If you're doing it as an internship, let's pretend you did the NCAA and you got it as an internship today, okay? And that became your project. If you did the internship, then you're benefiting the NCAA with your work. Emily Morrow did an internship. In her head, what she wanted to do was she wanted to start her own business. And she wanted to start a business that did this. We had dialogues about that all along. And she decided that there was this location that was doing a version of this. And she wanted to work with them because the way they did fitness reflected her own philosophy of how she wanted to bring that piece to her business. She wanted to do online health education, basically, and fitness and food, okay? So what she wound up doing was she identified a place where she could learn all this other aspect to then apply to her business. But in the process of going and talking with them about her internship, she had to figure out why they would take her. You know? So she was able to articulate why this is important to me and how I'm going to be a good complement to what you're doing so that you'll spend time with me so I can learn your stuff, but that you're getting something out of it. In the process, she wound up convincing them to create their own division of their company that did what she wants to do with her company. And then what we had to do was we had to help her create the rock-solid agreements so that she could keep her own intellectual property and still build her own company from it. So that's an internship, and what she had to do was think about how it helped them. This isn't about you anymore. You're leading. It means it's about them. That's the whole surprise thing that happens, right? And what's worse is you're leading in a situation where you're not in a structure. You're having to create. You're doing what you will wind up using for the rest of your career. Right? So that's an example of the internship. With what you're doing right now, there's no question that your partner is the Vietnamese organization you're working with, and the things you're pulling together are not what you thought you wanted to do for them. It's what you heard them tell you they needed. So that's approaching it as a service learning project. You're having to lead, and you're going to need to get other people to give you information to produce this thing for them. But you're connecting what they need with your resource base to make that happen for them. And that's a service learning project. It can be many different things, but the reality is it needs to have something else that it's benefiting, and the significance comes through them. Does that help you think through that a little bit? So, yours. This is about a student organization, okay? There's no question the significance is every person who takes leadership studies minor is going to sing Seth's praises because it's not going to be anywhere near as challenging for them as it was for y'all. That's just the reality. So that's an easy one. And if he needs data for that, we have plenty of data that we did when we challenged our process to know what we didn't like about what we were doing. And all of the things that along the way he got us there. It's neat. for yours, if you went where you are, who is it you're benefiting with that? And you were giving pieces of that. And where do you get the evidence of that's needed? And if you're thinking camera piece, then think about how you might be able to identify what's there. And if you're doing a lit review to help you understand the problem, what are those constructs you would be looking for? What's the problem that you're addressing? And then what are those constructs in the literature that would help inform it? That are the esoteric, abstract ideas that are underneath what you're doing. Okay? So some of it might be social media